Hello and welcome to a long overdue and uh, we'll say triumphant return of Jawjacking with James. It's been a while, long while. Quick, let me just do a quick check here. It has been wow, well over 8 months since my last episode. A lot has happened in between that time. Well, just to start from the beginning, which is always the best place. Um, I had been jobless up until October, this recent October. I was focusing on trying to get this podcast off the ground with very little success. No success. But, some people were listening and some people had heard of me, and it's the little victories that keep you motivated, but there was no monetary income from it all, and that's the biggest issue is that you have unlimited free time to pursue personal projects, but in the meantime, you have no income, and bills need to be paid, and food sure does look good, you know. But if you can't pay for it and buy it, then you just kind of have to stare at it and be like, "Wow, it sure would be nice to eat that food." So I would say, give or take a week or two after me just putting out random episodes whenever it fancies me, which is a method I need to stop doing. Just putting it out right now. I'm going to try from this day forward to try to put out at least 2 to 3 episodes a month. So, starting in July, I'm going to try and try to at least get 2 to 3 episodes, probably on the weekend because I work my regular job during the weekdays. Obviously, this is a part time thing I do. I also on the weekends work on my. I've got a mildly more successful YouTube channel of posting game footage, and it's time to get the announcements of. Before we get to the story, it's going to be a long story, so just sit back and relax wherever you may be. However you're listening. You know, but just strap in for exhilarating storytelling after this announcement. Uh, I want to put it out that this and on YouTube would be considered my 500th video, and I'm going to make it very clear. It's like, hey, triumphant return, 500th video. I'm also past the 1 year anniversary of Jawjacking with James existing. I started it, I believe, in Aprilish, May? One of those months last year. It was a very big transitioning time. I was going from a full time job to not having a full time job to, just leaving a stable job to pursue other things, and then things didn't work out. When do things in life ever work out? But yeah, this is going to be a milestone, a turning of the page, a turning over a new leaf, whatever analogy you want to use for it. But yeah, this thing, the podcast is a year old. Trying to get back into the podcast part time. Try to get 1 to 2 episodes, 2 to 3 episodes. Not one, but 2 to 3 episodes. Some long, some short, some probably medium sized. But trying to get a nice big long episode that's at least an hour long, and then mix in some short episodes. But try to be more regular. So I get the good word, the voice, the get me out there more, so more people are like, wow, I just like listening to this guy talk. Said no one ever. Anyway, but yeah, gonna put this is gonna go on YouTube as well. This is, of course, on Spotify, my main podcast. This, Spotify and YouTube are my two main things. If anybody particularly wants to collab or have me guest, I am not against doing so. I have actually been offered by a few people, and we'll see how that pans out. I have to actually get back in contact with them and uh, do a collab where I can talk about very different subjects, and people can know that there are other sides to me besides this. But without further ado, let's get back to the main story and why I was a bit on a hiatus. Not because I didn't like this or didn't want it or was it was one of those things where it's just like I don't have time to work on this because I'm either working or too tired to work on it. But give or take, like let me see. It was middle October. Someone I talked to, like a month and a half prior about a job. They recontacted me, and it was to work at the mall, Sawgrass Mall, and I was just like, yeah, sure. I initially thought it was going to be like an interview. It was not. They wanted me to come into work, like just winging it, going into work, and it's one of those wacky things where you think it's one thing and it turns out to be another thing, and I'm like, well, I guess I got the job because I thought it was going to be an interview to get the job, but basically I worked a retail job at the Sawgrass Mall. It's not there anymore, but it used to be called Socks and Bottoms, a real just a oversized closet of a store on the outside, right by the entrance of the Sawgrass Mall, and let me tell you, working going back into the kind of retail service job after years of not being in it, it really reinforces, wow, I really, really don't hate, I hate working with the public. Um, they're awful. They're not nice, and it reinforces my utmost hatred for the general public and why I moved away from working with the public, because I don't like the public. They're awful. They're just they're just they're a plight on all of existence, and I had to stay at a spot for give or take 6 or so hours a day, Monday through Friday, and it didn't pay very well. It was 15 an hour, but I only worked about 30 hours a week. But I was also trying to look for a better job while I was doing it and trying to get things back on. But like, once you finally get a little bit of money, you're like, oh my God, I have money. Oh my God. So, and oddly enough, one of the first things I did with my my first paycheck was for several months I had to just live with my previous mattress. I guess it had reached its limit on its lifespan, and it started imploding inward. And it was not a good idea to sleep on it, but I had no other choice, so I had to sleep on it. And it just imploded more, and I kept piling pillows on top of it to try to cushion the fall of me going into it. And I would wake up every morning with my whichever side I was sleeping on, either my left or right hip, and my back would hurt. And I went through that for at least, mm, uh, I would say about almost 2 months. I had to put up with that before I could buy a new mattress. And yeah, I soon afterwards developed lower back pain from the mattress, and then I had to wait another 2 weeks before I had enough money to go find and go to a chiropractor. And I told them of like I have to live in constant pain before I can actually do anything because I don't have the money for it. So I'm in a constant state of having to suffer through things. Um, but right as things got slightly better, my long time car, was paid off, no bills on it. Did have to repair it quite a bit. Um, my 2013 Ford Explorer, I kind of inherited and was given to me. The radiator in it exploded, and it overheated, and it kind of looked like it happened on a Friday morning, and it was just like the whole front of the car just emitted white smoke all over it, and I don't know, I just instinctively, said I'm hit. Uh, you know, thinking, associating it with like World War II flying dog fights, and when a pilot gets hit, their engine starts to smoke up, and I just was like, oh my god, I'm hit. And the first time it happened, I just pulled into a Publix, bought a gallon of water, and put that in, and it was actually, and I gave it like 20 minutes, and it was fine, and I was able to make it the rest of the way to work. And then I was able to most get home, but the car was still overheating like crazy, and I was like, you know what, I think I'll be able to, make it till I can get it like looked at and fixed. I didn't, we'll see what happens, but things did not get any better. No, wait, this happened a Thursday, and then yeah, Friday, I was like, after work, I'll go and see if I can get it checked. And then Friday morning, it kept overheating, and then wouldn't stop overheating. And then I had to go to that same Publix with people constantly stopping and getting in the way, and your car stopping as it's overheating. It starts shaking a whole bunch. I had to like stop several times, and then I made it to that Publix I already made it to that day before. And people were just on a Friday morning. People are just extra dumb, and it's morning, so they're even dumber. So people are just stopping all the time and not and getting in your fucking way. And I had some lady curse me out because she just had to stop, and kind of go, but then stop, and then she tried to curse me out, and I yelled at her, and I called her like, fuck you, you stupid whore, at the top of my lungs, and several people looked at me like I was crazy. Then I had to call my work and say like, hey, I don't think I'm gonna make it. Uh, I have to get my car fixed today. So after the car cooled down enough, I called a repair place that was like a mile and a half away. Well, before that, I called along the way there was a Pep Boys, but they put me on hold and never picked up. So I'm like, well, fuck that particular Pep Boys. They lost business for today. I went to a different place and they picked up, and I said I'm coming, but it's gonna take a little while because my car just the radiator's overheating excessively. But I'm gonna be there at some point within the next hour. And the lady was like, okay. So I made it there, just barely, because my car kept overheating as I was stopped at a light, and I'm like, this light needs to end. And I pull in, and I'm like, yeah, my radiator's overheating. And then I spent, well, I got credit for repair, and then waited and waited, and I and it was like a bit. It started to become lunchtime, and I went to eat, and I ate at a Miami Subs, which is always great. And then it got to early afternoon, and yeah, they got the car fixed, and they took it down. I'm like, all right, everything's great now. Then the receptionist lady and me are like looking like, why are they putting the car back up? And then a few minutes later, the guy comes, the mechanic comes in. He's like, I got some really bad news for you. I'm like, what? It's like, there's a hole in your engine that's leaking. I'm like, oh. So as it turns out, my radiator overheated and melted the engine because someone thought it would be a good idea to build a car engine out of aluminum. And aluminum, if you don't know, is a metal that melts easily at high temperatures. So it that's why it's always used and recycled, because it easily melts down and can be reformed. But someone thought it was a good idea to make a car engine instead of hard metals that can withstand lots of heat. Because I don't know if people know this, but car engines usually get hot, and they don't get so hot that they overheat, but there is a large amount of heat that it makes, and aluminum's not the best choice for that. But anyway, the guy told me, he's like, yeah, there's a hole in your engine. I don't know when it happened. And I told him, I was like, well, it could have happened at any point because I had to use my car to drive, and it could have happened the day before, that evening, that morning, or the morning of us when I got there. And then he's like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, we'd have to like completely get a new engine, which will cost more money and time. He's like, well, I don't have that. And then I suggested, is like, well, I guess I'll have to go to my AutoNation dealership and trade it in and get another car. And he's like, I think that's the best option. And I'm like, and oh, and I had a massive repair bill that I'm still paying off. But that just happens. But it's just all that money, and I have to pay for it still, which sucks. But I understand. It's just you have all that you just put all that time and effort, and then you just end up with another problem. So next morning, Saturday, mind you, this is all like um, give or take, like, ooh, the weekend before Christmas in late December. So, and my mom made an appointment for me at my local AutoNation, and yeah, I went in. Well, before I cleared out my entire car of all my personal effects, there were a lot of them, and I went in and said, "Hey, I've got absolutely no money, but I need to trade in this car that has a hole in the engine, and I need a new car now." And since it's a car dealership and right before Christmas, they were like, "I think we can work something out." So, um, even though it would have been highly impractical and the car payments would have been ridiculous. I got to test drive the new Ford Broncos. Still my dream car. I would love to get a Bronco at some point. I don't know when, but I would love to get a Bronco. It was so nice to test drive. It was beautiful. It felt great. And my dad had one of the old Broncos from back in the 80s and 90s, so I'd like to get a new Bronco and possibly try to get it the same color as his. It was like a bluish color that I can remember. But yeah, but I still got to test drive a Bronco, which is always fun. Anyway, I was just like, well, that's too highly impractical. I don't know if I could ever pay that off. So I was like, what's your used options and what can I get that's not ridiculous? And um, the car salesman, he showed me basically a Ford Edge, and a Ford Edge is basically a Ford Explorer. Ooh, excuse me. Sorry about that. That's from dinner. Had pork steak. It's pretty fucking good. Made it myself. Anyway, I got shown a Ford Edge, and it wasn't as expensive, but would still, and the car payment for it wouldn't have been as crazy. Still like $400 something, over $400 something, and trying to get a better job. But we're getting ahead. We're getting ahead. Let's still focus on where we're at now in the car story. Yeah, Ford Edge is basically it's basically a smaller version of the Ford Explorer, but it's got quite a bit of heft to it when if you put your foot on the accelerator, it just goes, and I like it, and I'm pretty happy with it. And I was able to get to work that evening to do a night shift, and yeah, that evening was just I don't know why I had to deal with the most annoying people on earth, but apparently every annoying asshole within like a 10-mile radius came there and had to come in the store. I had annoying kids, and then right as I was trying to close, two women came in, and one of them was just like, "Wow, socks! Wow, 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 socks!" Even though her friend clearly wanted to leave because she was by the door, but her other friend was just like, "Socks! Oh my god!" I'm like, "Are you gonna buy any of these things?" Because I kept looking at her. I'm like, "You keep looking at everything and are just dumbfounded with how amazing it is," and that she didn't buy anything. And then right as they walked out the door, I locked the door right behind them. And it was just. I'm like, how do people like this exist? Like, how do you leave your house and act like so dumbfounded at a store that might specialize in one thing? Like, have you never heard of like a clothes store or a watch store or a jewelry store? Like, they're all there at the mall. That's the point of a mall, to have specialty stores. But some people just are, um, technically they have brains, but I doubt they've ever used their brain. I think they're just surviving off instinct and dumb fucking luck at this point in their life. And I think that's how a lot of people living and existing around function. They're just reacting off instinct, and dumb luck is guiding their way. And somehow they make it to however old they are until you come in contact with them and have to deal with whatever the issue they have with themselves that said, hey, that brain that's in your head? You don't need to use that. But anyway, moving on. I was still at that job up until the start of this year in January. Had a few more fun people. I think I'll go into a deep dive of how much of all the fun experiences I had with the public working at that store, I think. Um, but I can tell you from working there from like mid to late October up until like the middle of January, the day-to-day interactions I had with people, it was just like, some people you just want to throw through a wall, and you don't care if they survive, because it's just like, why are you like this? And I was like, just because I'm sitting behind a counter, it doesn't mean I'm not a person to you. And it's just, it's one of those things where it's just like, why would you go into a place to treat someone else who's clearly working? Why would you treat them like this? Why do you treat people so badly? It's like, I'm a complete stranger to you. What did I do to you? I don't know. It's just one of those things. But I then, segued into a warehouse job that I'm still at the moment, and still looking for a better job from that one. And I work in a warehouse again, and basically I come home completely exhausted and tired and covered in sweat, and I usually have to lay down for like a few hours and then eat something to regain, vital sanity and energy back into myself, or I have to or I fall asleep and wake up several hours later because it's that exhausting. Because you're in a hot, unair conditioned. They're fans, but it's unair conditioned hot warehouse, so it's not fun. But you gotta do what you gotta do. And in that same thing, I've just been. It's been a chaotic thing of me putting off what I want to do, forgetting to write down things so I have more. I remembered last night to write down something for a podcast episode, but sometimes at work I'll have an idea and then I forget to write it down, and then I forget about it. So I've got to remember to write down things more often when the ideas come to me, and then elaborate more on the idea, and then kind of make a loose script about it, because I have lots of ideas and I haven't executed them. This is one of those ideas I had that I'm just like, I have to execute this. No questions, get it done. And here we are. But yeah, it's been one of those things where it's just like, I want to do this, but I don't have the time to do this, or I'm too tired to do this, but you really want to do it. It's one of those things. But you just, yeah, I'm trying to think what's a good way to segue into a new thing to talk about to make sure this goes, because right now I'm at, what is it, 28 minutes. 28 minutes I had something to talk about. Well, 27, give or take. Because now I'm just rambling, going, yeah, what do I talk about? Well, I guess, well, I put off quite a few things because I wanted to talk about them, but I'll skim through a few things I wanted to talk about. Let's go through a few topics that have been happening. Oh, just to put off anybody that no holds bar, or anything otherwise. I watched the recent presidential election in real time, and I have to say, the right side won. That's right. I am very happy that Donald Trump won, and anybody that thought that Kamala, I don't know why anybody hasn't tested to see if she's retarded, Harris, um, thought she'd win. Um, you too are also brain damaged, and I thought I would miss the entire, meltdown of the left and them, moving on. I'm also on Twitter, and they have not moved on from it at all. I mean, let's see, November. we're about we're going to go into 7 months since the election, and about 5 months, well, 6 months or so since he took office, and they have not they have not shut the fuck up since. I mean, apparently they just couldn't fathom that more than half of this country does not want a barely functioning moronic human being to be our president. It has nothing to do with her being a woman. It has nothing to do with her being um, uh, uh, let's see, a politically correct way of saying a person of color, even though it's just like, even though she's Indian and not black. As far as I'm told, she's Indian. She's not a black person. She's not African American. She is Indian. As I will make sure to have a check reference in my description just in case. And anything that needs to be corrected that I forgot, feel free to let me know in your in comments, whichever one, and I'll be like, okay, I acknowledge that. My bad, I was wrong. But I don't know why she was put in the angle that she was black. She's not. I mean, you can just look at her and be like, you're not a black person. You're clearly either Indian or something else, but you don't look like an African American person. But post election, a lot of people were just mostly leftists, extreme leftists, and all the quote unquote activists. People always saying, "I'm an activist." I'm like, "Are you? Are you really? Do you actually do anything to, I don't know, warrant some change? Have you planted a tree? Um, have you put forward legislation to your local congressman or government official? No, you just post stupid shit and self-indulgent narcissistic videos online and then call it activism? Oh, that's okay. All right. Um, I just want to put it out there that if there are any people that are activists and actually try to do something productive, like get petitions and make people aware of a cause that you're very compassionate and believe, I have nothing against you. If you're actually trying to do activism the right way, and by the right way I mean convince people in a intellectual, productive, and polite way of showing your side and convincing people to come to your side. That's fine. When you scream, block traffic, set things on fire, threaten people, threaten groups of people, destroy whole cities because you're angry, side with known terrorist groups like Antifa or ISIS or what have you, or want to, commit crime, that's not activism. I didn't know if people needed to be told that, but yeah, that's not being an activist. And also putting videos on social media of you descending into your own madness with your terrible and backwards beliefs, that's not activism either. That just shows you're mentally ill. This is the side I'm taking. And mind you, I tried to be a progressive. I tried to, be like, oh, there's nothing wrong with, having progressive ideas. And I'm going off the term progressive as in, uh, you know, uh, going away from kind of traditional conservative ideas. Um, Nothing's wrong with having conservative ideas, but there's always room for wiggle room and, experiencing and expressing new ideas and new ways of thinking. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what the progressive movement initially was based off of. One of our greatest presidents, Teddy Roosevelt, was a progressive. His whole party, the Moose Party, was about being progressive. That's the progressive I'm talking about. Now, progressive now is a dirty word. Progressive means that you think men should go into women's bathrooms and women's sports and, brainwash children into believing communist ideas. And now progressive is linked to communism, and I don't know if you also know this, in case it's one of those things that hasn't been told or handed out in a pamphlet. Communism is bad. Now, if anybody wants to, debate in a calm, demeaned manner about the pros and cons of communism, I'd argue there are more cons than pros. I mean, we could just open up a history book about, I don't know, a place called the USSR, the United Soviet States of Russia, and just, peruse the massive kill count that was wrapped up from all the different communist regimes and leaders that ruled over Russia up until 1991. Yeah. And all the other countries that have had communist governments. And, I would also like to argue that if communism is so great, why did people try to break out of it so badly if it was so great? I'd like to ask several left-leaning college students, their take on that. I'm not sure they would particularly have a good answer for me, but I like a challenge, and I'd like to see if they can, try to make sense of the stupidity that they support. And I've also perused the toilet paper on paper thing called the Communist Manifesto, and honestly, it's not good. Karl Marx was a idiot. He was not a good person. He basically just wanted to he made a bunch of buzzwords that were that are used today, unfortunately. And yeah, I do not recommend. If you actually look into the wonderful world of communism, it's just mostly death and people starving and people dying from starving, and the people at the top get all the food and the people at the bottom get nothing. Yeah, really a real utopia, and it's so great that nobody wants to do it. It's so great that only 3 countries still have communist governments, and they're falling apart. So, food for thought. Except for communists, they don't get food. Nobody gets food in communist countries. Moving on, let's move on to another topic that I like to talk about. Let's see. Got the election. I've talked about how much I hate activists. Had a little rant about how much I hate communism. How about those, gas and food prices? I'm glad they're going down. I can slightly afford food now. Yeah, that's great. Um, let's hope it keeps going down. That way, things that we really like aren't as expensive. But we'll leave it at that. I've oop, hold on a second. Holding on a second here. Random, my mouth went dry. That's always weird when that happens. But anyway, let's see what else. Thinking. What else can we talk about? I don't know. What do you want to talk about? How do you know what you could talk about? You're listening to a recording of me talking about it. I'm just a silly goose sometimes. But on a serious note, have you noticed that things have gotten a lot less gay in the last few months? Like, there's a lot less gay everywhere. And I think that's for the best for everyone. Um, we are coming to the end at the. Well, I like to appreciate it more as it being, uh, you know, you know how June is usually Pride Month, and it hasn't been shoved down everyone's throat like it usually is, which is a good thing. Um, I've kind of been using it as a celebration of D-Day. I've been posting a bunch of D-Day related game footage, so that's always cool. And it's kind of been co-opted into Men's Mental Health Month, which I think is more important than Fruit Loops throwing themselves at everyone and saying, "Hey, look at me, I'm a fruit, fag, I'm a fag, I'm a fag, fruit." Yeah, I think that I think that men's mental health is a bit more important. I mean, if you really look into the left-leaning movement, every other day is like this visibility day, paddle pan sex appreciation approval day, and it's just like, who's coming up with this crap? And who thought it was a good idea? Good idea. It's just like it's the same thing last year when the walking husk known as Joe Biden made Trans Visibility Day during Easter. It was like, oh yeah, that wasn't a targeted move. And yeah, things have gotten a lot less gay and weird and disgusting, and uh, it's a good thing that the pendulum has shifted, and I think we should try and keep the pendulums shifted for as long as we can, so we can fix a lot of things that are wrong with this country and the world. Because California has fully committed to being like, hey, let's just be insane, and New York doesn't want to be left out, and they're trying to be as insane as possible, and Washington State doesn't want to be left out either, or Oregon, or other very highly liberal cities and states. They just have to be like, we don't like this order. None of that. And I would say Canada has just lost the plot completely. And at some point, I either think Canada is going to break up into smaller countries of their own. Um, give it 5 years at least. I mean, if they stay together that long, I'll be surprised. But Canada's clearly just gone off the deep end. If you look into it, if you look at how bad California is, Canada's 10 to 20 times worse. Well, 100 times worse. And they're not actually addressing any real issues, and people are just poor, overworked, and yet they keep voting for the liberal kind of government, which I don't understand. But whatever, they voted for it, and they can live with it. Enjoy having $100 chicken. That's a real thing. Let me see. What else can we talk about? Probably should have had notes before I did this. Get some bullet points, but I didn't think about that. I wanted to just, in the moment, get this out. So I have um, something else that's been egging at me, and I want to try to talk about it more, is how gaming has, video games, gaming in general has, been kind of doing a shift. Um, it segues back into, activists and communists, communists, if you will. How a way to take over and control the media is to control all forms of media. Um, and yeah, to anybody that's a gamer out there, if you've noticed that games have taken a steep dive into being utter shit, you can thank both, overly corporate suits in offices looking at numbers and profit margins, and you can also blame the, college-educated, far left activist people. Well, they think they're activists and they're freedom fighters and all that other stupid shit. Um, have decided that the real way to make games is to not make them fun in any way and make them terrible and preachy and tell people that, you should feel bad for what you're doing. Anyway, here's our game. You should buy it at full price. And if anybody's been paying attention to some of the games of the last year that have just been total failures, with a few exceptions of actual good games, but then again, a lot of those games weren't made by Western studios. They were made by Asian studios who actually care about making fun games. But Western game developers in the past few years have been like, no, none of that. We can't have fun in our games. Um, we must politically have political conversations and tell our political beliefs and force them on the consumer, when they clearly know that the gaming audience is mostly made up of men, straight men. And you know what straight men don't like? Being told what to do by losers who clearly don't like games. And that's pretty much all the people that work in gaming right now. They're people that hate gaming, which is ironic because it's just like, why would you go into a field you hate to a customer base you hate, then make games that they're going to hate, but you think they're going to like it, and you're trying to make a new audience, but that audience that you're trying to cater to, like you, does not exist because the games quote unquote games that you want to make aren't actually games. They're just uh, crap simulators that with political agendas, and nobody wants that. And it's one of those frustrating things that I'm just like, it's like, if modern games are going to be like this and they're going to go to triple A gaming is going to suck this much, and they also made the new term quadruple A, even though the game is anything but. And they're making the new cycle of they want people not to own their games, which is also horse shit. But we're in a new cycle where the consumer is at war with the distributor and makers of said product, and we have to be vigilant and be a force to tell them, no, we don't like that. We don't like that. Stop doing that. And the best way to do it is letting them know, being like, hey, this sucks. Don't do that. And by simply not buying the crap that they shovel into our, just because someone shovels, shit onto your plate and says eat it, you don't have to eat it. It's like, no, I'm not eating that. I'm like, why? This is my quality shit I made for you. Eat it. No, I'm not eating your shit that you shoveled onto my plate. Fuck you. And that's basically the crux of it. It's just we're constantly having to have game developers and game studios shovel shit on our plate and say it's a filet mignon, eat it. Like, no, it's not. This is shit. It's like, how dare you insult the thing it took me 7 years to make this, and you're gonna eat it? And you're like, no, take it back and make something better. And it apparently has been, affected because there's large amounts of layoffs recently in the last year or two going on in all the gaming industry and all the studios. And it's not never good when people lose their jobs, but when you do a terrible thing, when you're terrible at your job, you deserve to lose your job. And you should probably go into some other field of study that won't, have you impact people's lives like that. Or, where you don't have the power to push your little your not so subtle communist agenda on everyone that nobody likes, mind you. Nobody wanted you. Nobody wants it. Nobody likes it. Only you like it. So you can go back to your commune with the rest of your little commie allies and say what a great big difference and how you fought the proletariat. All that other word salad garbage that commies like to say. If you haven't noticed, I have, dear listener, you have probably figured out I don't like commies or communism. I make it very clear. If I could belittle a communist every day, I'll sleep soundly knowing so. But yeah, that's just something I like to do. That's just something I like to point out. Communism has never worked. It never will. Never has. Not no way, not no how. And yeah, but yeah, I'm hoping to try and trying to make these a weekly thing, and I'm gonna try to get it more structured, so I'm not like, oh, what the hell do I talk about? Kind of just instead of winging it, to try to struggle through it, actually have it kind of semi-scripted. That's probably a better idea, or have a good idea of what I want to talk about with some bullet points. Anybody want to give me some ideas? I'm not against new ideas or collabs with other people, and yeah, I'm glad I got to do this. I actually really want to try to get more podcast episodes out. I want to try to get my thoughts out there, get the good word, as it will, out there to the good people, and fight the good fight in my little way I find possible. Um, this is just my avenue of putting it out there, and I hope you, the listener or listeners, I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm going to try to stop doing a lot of ums and uhs as I'm talking. It's just something I do when I talk sometimes for an extended period. I go and but I'm going to try to get it more structured. So it sounds a bit better. Yeah. I've also I'm gonna try and do more because I have a separate thing I want to do is do movie reviews, not just new movies, because a lot of new movies suck balls nowadays. There's like hardly ever any good movies. I mean, the best movie that has come out in the last year wasn't even made in Hollywood. It was Godzilla Minus One, and highly recommend it. I need to do a review of it, but I have the Blu-ray right near me on my desk. Well, sitting on the bottom of my desk. Still haven't opened it to watch it, but I saw it in theaters. Which, wow, what an amazing movie that was! It should have won more Oscars because it was um, a better film than anything Hollywood has done, and it was made on, I believe, like, um, I think the budget was like 40 or 60 million, about that. Yeah, and even with that budget, the movie looks 1,000 times better than any current day movie that was coming out in 2023 at that point. It still looks better than movies that are coming out now that are, heavily CG. Um, but yeah, I'm just. I like to review. I only have a few movies I've reviewed on. I have a second Instagram channel that I put my movie reviews on. I've only reviewed like, I want to say like 5 or 6 movies. I'm going to try to improve that by um, getting more movies out, more movie reviews out, so I can be proud of the title I gave myself as movie critic. I mean, I do want to be a movie critic, but the type of critic that's actually honest and isn't full of shit when they talk, Be like the old ones, like Siskel and Ebert, and what was his name? It's either Siskel and Ebert and the other guy with glasses. Damn it, I have his face, but I can't remember his name. Shit. Quick Google search, because I have my computer in front of me. Great movie critics. Hold on. Why can't I think of it? He's here. Leonard Maltin. Why can't I think of Leonard Maltin? God damn it. But yeah, Leonard Maltin. He's a big inspiration. And another really great movie critic is Joe Bob Briggs. He's another inspiration I attribute my way I go about reviewing movies, because I've only reviewed. Let's actually look up exactly how many movies I reviewed on my Instagram. I'm gonna bear with me to try to. And if you've noticed, yes, I am trying to also extend this so it goes to an hour. So if you caught on to that, you are in fact correct. However, it does segue and lead to something. Just give it a moment. Do do do. Do 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 do. Do do do. Do do do. It's one of those things. Just takes a moment. All right. Let me see. I reviewed one. My first movie review, which I made in September 26, 2022. Wow, it has been a while. It's a movie called The Alligator from 1980. Let me see, what else have I reviewed? Trying to go in order here. I reviewed Clerks 3. Let's see. I reviewed Them from 1954. Really great movie. It's actually funny. I didn't actually get to rewatch Them, because I like to rewatch movies before I make a review of them. I either have them or I watch them online or on demand if I can. It's funny. I've seen Them enough times to where I can remember the movie, because I've seen it off and on for like periodically for, I want to say, about 20 years, because it's just one of those great classic 50s sci-fi movies, and it just hits you in the right way. Yeah. And there's a lot going on in it, like, one of the first first films for Leonard Nimoy. Just a great movie. And anyway, let's see them. Do 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 do. I reviewed the Alligator People, 1959. Um, it's a funny movie. It's an unintentionally funny movie, but it's meant to be a sci-fi movie. So I'll put a link to my movie Instagram in this, in both the one on Spotify and on YouTube. Um, that's something I better do. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm glad I thought of it. I've reviewed The Longest Day. Oh, I reviewed it. Oh, well, last year I reviewed it on June 26th, so I was one day off. Damn. I have also reviewed Rio Bravo, Great Classic Western. And that's it. I've only reviewed, let's see, one, two, three, four, five. I've only reviewed 6 movies. I've only reviewed 6 movies in 3 years. Wow. Okay, so I need to up my ante. I'm going to try to up my ante. I'm going to try very hard to up the ante with my reviewing. I already have several in the chamber. Once again, there are quite a few movies I'd like to review, like the original Thing from Another World, um, Godzilla Minus One. Um, on YouTube, Shout just put up the sequel to The Alligator, Alligator 2 The Spawn. So I'm going to watch that on YouTube, link it as well, and then put a review of it. Because I remember seeing it a long time ago, but it's been a long, long time since I saw it last. And but it is not it doesn't hold a candle to the original Alligator. That one, the original Alligator was it's a surprisingly very good movie, and it's very very graphic and very violent, which is always fun. Anyway, anyway. You know what? Let's do the right thing and wrap this up now. I did get to an hour, so take that. I got it to an hour, but I'll try to get it to more constructive of an hour instead of me just being like, oh, what do I talk about? Do ba da da da. What do I talk about? Anyway, I want to thank you, the viewer, for sticking around this long. If you have, if you haven't, what are you doing? Why don't you start from the beginning and listen to the whole thing? You can, skip around if you want, but at least get the important bullet points out of it. At least do that. But this is meant to be the triumphant return, and a kind of semi celebration. I missed when my 1 year was, whenever the hell that was. I'll have to track down whenever the hell I did that. This will also be my 500th video on YouTube, if you're on YouTube listening to this. And I would like to let you know, thank you for coming by. Hopefully, within the next week and a half, I'll have a new episode up on Spotify and on YouTube. So, whichever way you listen to it, as I appreciate a like, a comment. You can follow and subscribe. If you feel I've earned it, and I also have a Patreon. I don't know if that's ever going to pan out, but I am told if you mention it, people will browse and peruse it if they get the chance. But it's always nice to just put it out there and see if people will actually look at it. Anyway, I'll hopefully we'll get another one up, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. And I'll see you in the next one. You guys have a good day, good night, good afternoon, have a good whatever you're doing, and I'll see you the next one. Bye.